Things just got heated on X. King Combs, son of Diddy, allegedly sent a threatening message at 50 Cent, saying he'd confront him if they ever crossed paths. But 50 didn't hesitate. He clapped back fast, reminding everyone he built his empire from scratch, not off a famous last name.
I forget, why did the guy shoot you 9 times? Was it drugs or something?
He was paid to do it.
He was paid to do it?
Yeah.
Who would want to shoot you?
Why were you targeted?
You're such a good guy.
This is my past.
It was a drug thing?
No,
like a business thing?
It's karma.
Welcome back to BuzzBuster. I'm glad you're here. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss daily videos. Threats are nothing new to 50 Cent. He has faced attempts on his life before, and there was even a price reportedly put on his head. Now he finds himself surrounded by danger yet again. After pushing forward with documentaries and releasing files that shine a light on some of the biggest names in entertainment, Curtis Jackson appears to be dealing with a new round of serious safety concerns. His decision to step into the role of hip-hop's unofficial truth-teller seems to have placed him back in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. What makes this story so intense is the history behind it. His rise was not shaped by exaggerated rap mythology or dramatic industry storytelling. The danger was real, documented, and serious enough to draw federal attention. Long before the headlines of today, his life had already been marked by repeated threats. On May 24, 2000, in South Jamaica, Queens, New York, Curtis Jackson walked out of his grandmother's house. Years later, during a 2012 conversation with Oprah Winfrey, he described that afternoon in chilling detail. It was around noon when he came outside and got into a friend's car. Moments later, another car approached. What followed would become one of the most defining and shocking moments of his life. What happened next didn't just reshape his future. It sent shockwaves through rap and may have altered the course of hip-hop itself. The Queens rapper survived 9 gunshot wounds. He was struck in the arm, hand, hip, legs, chest, and face. One round hit his jaw, costing him a tooth and changing the way he spoke for years. Still, he lived.
Did you ever find out who did it?
Yeah, I knew who did it shortly after.
Yeah. And they are now where?
Oh, the guy who actually shot me is dead.
That survival became a huge part of what made 50 Cent such a powerful and unforgettable figure in rap history. Most people know the headline version. They know 50 Cent was shot. They know he later turned that pain into hit records. They know Get Rich or Die Tryin' went on to become one of the biggest debut albums rap had ever seen. What many people don't know is who investigators believed was behind the attack and what may have triggered it. According to federal investigators, crack kingpin Kenneth Supreme McGriff, along with associates tied to the rap label Murder Inc., was believed to have plotted the attempt on 50 Cent's life. The suspected motive was revenge over a song that described McGriff's criminal history. That track was called Ghetto Quran, sometimes written as Ghetto Quran. In 2000, 50 Cent recorded it as a street-level account of drug dealers operating in Queens, New York. The track would soon become far more than music.
Did you ever find out who did it?
Yeah, I knew who did it shortly after.
They are now where?
The guy who actually shot me is dead.
The original track was meant for his first album, Power of the Dollar, until Columbia Records pulled the plug on the entire release. Even so, the record surfaced that same year, and once it got out, it put a spotlight on serious allegations tied to major figures, including Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Here's the pattern that starts to emerge. 50 Cent released a song that pointed directly at real names connected to real street activity. According to investigators, the response was immediate and personal. He was shot, and despite being hit 9 times, he survived. Instead of disappearing, he transformed that moment into the foundation of his image. More than that, he kept speaking out. A 2003 document written by IRS criminal investigator Francis Mace stated that authorities believed the May 2000 shooting of 50 Cent was retaliation for Ghetto Quran, a track that details parts of McGriff's history as the leader of one of the city's most feared drug organizations. Federal records pushed the story even further. The affidavit says that messages sent through the Murder Inc. pager suggested McGriff was part of an active plan targeting the rapper, and that he was in contact with Murder Inc. staff about that target.
I walked over here to sit in the actual vehicle that my friend was waiting for me in, and the car pulled up on the side of us. The guy got out the passenger seat of that car, came around behind it, and shot through the actual car.
This wasn't rumor or gossip. It came straight from a federal affidavit. McGriff and, according to investigator Mace, federal evidence suggested the threat against 50 Cent never stopped. Messages sent to McGriff allegedly monitored the rapper's location and movements in real time. This wasn't an isolated incident or a single failed plan. Authorities viewed it as a sustained plot, one that federal investigators documented as an ongoing effort involving a major drug figure and a record label allegedly acting together after 50 Cent publicly exposed their operations. The story grows even darker when investigators turn to the fallout surrounding that feud. One of the most unsettling angles involved Jam Master Jay of Run DMC, who was shot and killed in 2002. Detectives and federal agents examined whether his death might have been tied to an unspoken industry-wide blacklist aimed at 50 Cent. That possibility cast a long shadow over the entire case.
Was that the first time you'd ever been shot at?
No. No, it's the first time I hit like that.
Yeah. And do you think it changed your trajectory? Like, would you still be the same 50 Cent you are today if you didn't go through that?
No.
But like psychologically, what changed in you?
The themes are realer. Get rich or die trying. They're looking like I could die before the record even comes out because of the threat level.
Jam Master Jay, whose real name was Mizell, had been an early supporter of 50 Cent during the rapper's rise in the 1990s. Because of that relationship, investigators looked closely at whether the conflict with McGriff reached beyond threats and pressure. Mace wrote that agents were still working to determine whether Mizell's homicide had any connection to the larger dispute between McGriff and 50 Cent. He also noted that law enforcement was examining the possibility that Mizell was targeted for refusing to follow that silent blacklist against 50 Cent. In certain circles, the warning was clear: steer clear of Curtis Jackson. Yet, Jam Master Jay, a founding force behind Run DMC and a towering name in hip-hop, chose to ignore that advice and guide the young artist anyway. According to this account, that decision may have come with a devastating price. The shooter 50 Cent later named was Daryl Hummo Baum. Baum was later killed in a retaliatory attack. As for Kenneth Supreme McGriff, he was sentenced to life in prison in 2007 after convictions tied to racketeering, murder-for-hire cases, drug trafficking, and money laundering. In other words, the figure accused of arranging the attack on 50 Cent is serving life, while the man identified as the gunman is no longer alive. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's story moved in the opposite direction. He went from surviving that chapter to becoming one of rap's biggest success stories, selling more than 30 million albums worldwide.
I actually don't want a problem.
No, I don't think you
I don't ever want a problem. But when they say they want a problem, I say no problem. That's it. It makes people feel like I want trouble because I don't have a problem with it when it comes.
From there, he expanded far beyond music, building a television empire and helping create major series like Power. Now the story takes another sharp turn. In what feels almost cinematic, he has reinvented himself again, this time stepping into the documentary world and aiming his focus at some of the most influential and heavily shielded figures in entertainment. He made it through by refusing to stay quiet, transforming pressure into momentum and pain into narrative. The more people tried to silence him, the louder his presence became. This cycle is exactly what set the stage for everything happening now. To understand today's threats and the documentary files that sparked them, you have to go back to the rivalry that has shaped much of 50 Cent's career over the last 20 years. His long-running conflict with Sean Diddy Combs. That clash is not some side story. It sits at the center of the current moment. 50 Cent didn't suddenly decide to make a documentary about Diddy for no reason. The tension had been building for decades, and the project he released, along with the files tied to it, represents the breaking point after years of pressure, public taunts, and growing demands for accountability.
Your favorite villain? My favorite villain? I kind of like Diddy. When people say I'm a troll, I say, I don't know why you're saying I'm trolling people. I'm doing what you've conditioned me to do.
What happened in 2000 created a pattern that keeps repeating. 50 Cent brings attention to powerful figures. A response follows. He makes it through. After that, he pushes even further. The same sequence has played out again and again. It surfaced with Kenneth Supreme McGriff. It appeared in the conflicts involving Murder, Inc. It came up again with Irv Gotti. Now, according to the story unfolding, that pattern has reached an entirely different group of people. In some respects, these new figures are seen as even more intimidating than the drug dealers once associated with Queens. That is why talk of a new attempt on his life is drawing so much attention now. What made 50 Cent impossible to ignore was what happened after the music. He did not stop at telling stories and songs. Instead, he moved into full-scale documentaries, teamed up with Netflix, and brought forward material many believed would never become public. Once those files surfaced, the reaction rippled far beyond the music business. Everything intensified on December 7th, 2023. That was the day executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson revealed he was developing a docuseries about Sean Combs. He also stated that proceeds from the project would be directed to people connected to the sexual misconduct allegations involving Combs.
We live in a climate that it's not even what you did. It's what they said you did.
Right.
The damage is already done by the allegation itself. So,
do you think Puff is cooked?
I'm not sure if he's cooked. I'm not sure how bad that it is because you know what? When we think of all of those different allegations that pile up, he's cooked.
Right.
At first, plenty of industry insiders brushed it off. For years, 50 Cent had been mocking Diddy online, posting memes, sharing stories, and turning their rivalry into recurring internet drama. Because of that history, many assumed this announcement was just one more jab in a long-running feud. Early reports about a documentary focused on Diddy, along with allegations of long-term sexual abuse tied to his federal case, were dismissed by some as classic G-Unit era provocation. From the outside, it looked like more trolling. That assumption did not last. Behind the scenes, Jackson had already been putting the project together well before bringing in Alexandria Stapleton to direct the series. Suddenly, what seemed like another joke started looking a lot more serious. For 5 straight months, the team searched for people in Diddy's inner circle who were ready to come forward and speak openly. Nothing about this happened on impulse. Behind the scenes, a deliberate, long-running investigation was unfolding at the same time as the federal government's case against Combs. Sean Combs, The Reckoning, is an American television documentary miniseries centered on the sexual misconduct allegations involving rapper Sean Diddy Combs. Helmed by Alexandria Stapleton, the 4-part series premiered on Netflix on December 2nd, 2025. It came from Emmy and Grammy Award-winning executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, alongside Emmy Award-winning director Alexandria Stapleton. What viewers got was a striking look at a figure once known as a media powerhouse, a music icon, and now a convicted offender. Once it hit Netflix, the response was immediate and impossible to ignore. In just its first 6 days, The Reckoning pulled in 21.8 million views. During its debut week, it also claimed the title of Netflix's most-watched series. Here's why that number is shocking.
Did you actually expect it to be as big as it got?
I expected it to be bigger. It's actually exceeding my expectations now.
Wow.
Stranger Things is a huge show, and it's outperforming Stranger Things on Netflix.
Within a single week, The Reckoning drew more than 22 million views, putting it nearly on par with the final season of Stranger Things. That kind of performance is rare for any release, let alone a documentary focused on the downfall of a convicted music figure. A documentary backed by Diddy's longtime rival came surprisingly close to the viewership of one of Netflix's biggest scripted hits. What really stunned audiences, though, was what the series managed to reveal. Among its biggest surprises was footage no one saw coming. Video captured during the 6 days leading up to Diddy's arrest. The project also featured handwritten journal entries from Bad Boy co-founder Kirk Burrows, detailing years spent handling Diddy's personal life and business matters.
Even with those journals included, the video material became the true headline. Filmed with Combs' awareness, the scenes present an unfiltered look at him during the final stretch before his arrest. As shown in the episodes, he is seen meeting with his legal and public relations teams, carefully reacting as developments in the case unfold in real time. 50 Cent weighed in on just how extraordinary that access was. Speaking to Toodum, executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson said, "I don't think you can get closer." He followed that with an even sharper remark, saying Combs was essentially documenting himself on the way to jail. Later, NBC News correspondent Chloe Melas pressed Jackson on a question many viewers were already asking. How did he get the footage? His response only deepened the mystery. Jackson said that, like most journalists, he would not reveal his sources. When Melas then asked whether Diddy and his legal team would only learn the videos were included once the documentary premiered, the tension only grew.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Director Stapleton suggested the real controversy may not have been what appeared on screen, but where the material came from in the first place. The video was reportedly shot by a filmmaker hired by Diddy to capture his day-to-day life and the legal pressure surrounding him, supposedly for a private documentary project. After his arrest, that material was allegedly leaked by an outside freelance source. According to Deadline, the response from Diddy's side was swift and aggressive. Diddy's team reportedly described the Netflix documentary as a disgraceful attack, arguing it was designed to damage his image. Their remarks also pointed to 50 Cent, identifying him as a longtime rival with a deeply personal grudge. A cease and desist letter sent by Combs' attorneys to Netflix on December 1 claimed the conflict stretched back further. In that letter, they alleged that around 2023, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos had approached Mr. Combs about making a documentary centered on him. The attorneys said Combs declined the idea because Sarandos wanted full creative control, something he refused to surrender. Netflix strongly pushed back. A spokesperson said the accusations surrounding Sean Combs' The Reckoning were untrue, stating the production had no connection to any earlier discussions between Combs and the company. The spokesperson also maintained that the footage filmed before his indictment and arrest was acquired lawfully, and that the film was not a targeted attack. This project wasn't presented as a hit job or a revenge play. According to director Alexandria Stapleton, while Curtis Jackson serves as an executive producer, he did not shape the creative direction. She said the material was brought to the team, the footage was acquired through legal channels, and all required rights were secured.
Saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. His team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
At its core, the documentary follows Diddy's full rise in the music world. It charts his climb through Bad Boy Entertainment, the label tied to major names including the Notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, Danity Kane, and more. Yet the series does more than celebrate success. It also explores claims from former associates who describe a troubling side to that ambition, including allegations of abuse, violence, and coercive conduct they say stretched across many years. What gives the series added weight is the number of insiders speaking publicly, in several cases for the very first time. Among those interviewed are Bad Boy Entertainment co-founder Kirk Burrows, former assistant and executive Capricorn Clark, and Bad Boy artists such as Aubrey O'Day, Kalena Harper, and Mark Curry. The documentary also includes jurors from Combs' federal case, along with people who have brought civil lawsuits against him. Stapleton said Cassie Vandura's 2023 lawsuit marked a major cultural shift and became the moment that pushed her to take a deeper look. The bigger question was never just the case itself, it was whether the public can truly weigh accusations involving powerful people without bias. When Cassie filed her lawsuit, Stapleton saw it as a defining moment, a real measure of how much the culture has shifted. What came out of the juror interviews made that test even more striking. Diddy was cleared of the federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges, yet the jury still convicted him on 2 prostitution-related counts under the Mann Act. Afterward, he received a 50-month sentence with credit for time already served.
Prosecutors just dropped major charges against Diddy, including attempted arson and kidnapping, right before closing arguments. His defense rested in just 23 minutes without calling a single witness. Diddy did not testify, but told the judge he was doing an excellent job.
Episode 4 of the docuseries offers a closer look at that split decision through interviews with jurors 75 and 160. Their comments help explain how the panel arrived at such a mixed outcome. Some of the most serious claims came from Kirk Burrows, the co-founder of Bad Boy. In his testimony, Burrows described what he said was a long-running pattern of controlling behavior that stretched back for years. He also raised questions about the events connected to the death of Notorious Big. According to Burrows, Diddy's public claim that Biggie wanted to travel to California was false. He pointed to remarks Diddy made in Can't Stop, Won't Stop, and flatly rejected that version of events. Burrows said Biggie was actually scheduled for a European press tour that same week. He further alleged that Diddy canceled those plans before everything changed. According to Burrows, Biggie was willing to show up and own the room, even at a party surrounded by rivals. Still, Burrows claims Biggie never wanted to remain in California, and that Diddy pressured him to stay. Not long after that party in Los Angeles, Biggie was killed. As the documentary rolled out, 50 Cent repeatedly pushed back on one specific idea, that this was some kind of personal payback. For years, he and Diddy have traded public shots, yet 50 insisted the project was not fueled by bitterness or an old score to settle. During an interview with ABC, he made it clear he did not view the documentary as a...
Instead, 50 described the film as a way to amplify people who felt ignored, saying many of those involved trusted him to help bring their experiences into the open. Speaking with NBC News, Jackson explained that his reason for stepping in came from a larger concern. In his view, if hip-hop stayed quiet, that silence could be mistaken for acceptance of the allegations surrounding Combs.
He would do a lot of foul shit, like behind the scenes he would do some foul shit, like hating on, like doing things with people I'd done business with that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, he said that to you? Right. Like, yeah, so all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it, so they want the girls after you're done with them and shit. Yeah.
Even with that message, his online presence told a slightly different story. While presenting himself as someone focused on exposing the truth, 50 also appeared to be taking visible pleasure in watching his longtime rival face public scrutiny. One Instagram post in particular featured a meme suggesting he had agreed to sit for an interview. A meme tied to ABC News joked that the interview was arranged with one purpose in mind, making sure Diddy could catch it from prison. The punchline claimed 50 Cent chose an ABC station because it was reportedly among the limited channels inmates are able to watch. Still, the bigger story may be what viewers never saw. After Sean Combs' The Reckoning became a major hit on Netflix, executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson disclosed that an enormous amount of footage was left on the cutting room floor. During a December 10, 2025 appearance on Sherry, he said roughly 140 hours of material did not make it into the 4-part documentary series. He also floated a surprising next move. Rather than keep that unused footage locked away, 50 suggested he might upload raw clips straight to YouTube. His message was blunt. If traditional outlets do not use it, he can release it himself. When the conversation turned to a possible second season, he made it clear the first version was shaped by one simple limit: time. With only 4 episodes available, the team had to be selective about what stayed and what got cut. That makes his final hint even more explosive. He implied the unseen footage could reach the public without any middleman involved. No network filters, no studio barriers, just a direct upload and millions of eyes. Most notably, 50 Cent still has 140 hours of unseen material in his possession. He has already shown he is prepared to release content that Diddy's legal team claims was improperly obtained. Combs' lawyers have already tried to apply pressure, and it clearly has not changed 50 Cent's course. Now he is signaling something even bigger. Instead of relying on Netflix, he may release the remaining footage straight to YouTube for the public to see. Such a decision could create even more tension around Diddy's legal situation, especially with fresh civil cases still active and his attorneys focused on appeals. What matters here is this: the documentary was never the finish line. It was the spark. For 50 Cent, The Reckoning looked less like a final statement and more like the first major strike in a widening campaign.
Is there other stuff that you just have not shown?
Yeah, well, everything couldn't make the. Was 4 episodes.
Right.
So it was a lot. You had to pick and choose things. Like even in like an area where he chooses to date people who he knows previously dated someone. He has a baby by a woman that was dating Tupac.
Wow.
To add to it, but we had to cut it down. So
for time. So are you coming out? I know next year is going to be a number 2, season 2.
Or just put it on YouTube.
Once that project landed, the story did not cool down. It intensified, and the scope appeared to grow well beyond just one longtime adversary. By February 2026, a separate and explosive development added even more pressure to the public conversation. The Department of Justice announced the release of a huge collection of records tied to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said the department would be making public more than 3 million pages of material, along with over 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. Those records were released under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, a law passed after months of public and political demands. Its purpose was clear: force the government to open its files on the late financier and reveal information that had been kept out of public view. Among the newly released Epstein records, one name quickly drew attention: Jay-Z, also known as Sean Carter, alongside Epstein's close associate and former partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. A report in the latest file release shows that on October 10, 2019, an unidentified woman contacted the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. During that call, she said she was a victim of abuse involving Epstein and others. Her account claimed that in roughly 1994, Epstein harmed her during parties. More strikingly, she also alleged that around 1996, she was taken from her home and later regained consciousness in a room with Harvey Weinstein and Jay-Z. Based on the redacted intake report, the woman believed the location was Epstein's mansion in Florida. Still, one point matters above all else: this claim was never verified. The mention of Jay-Z, along with Harvey Weinstein and Pusha T, did not come from Epstein's private records or from evidence confirmed by investigators. Their names appeared only in a tip submitted to the FBI and later archived within the broader Epstein case files. That distinction is essential. Being listed in an unverified report does not mean those individuals were investigated, and it does not suggest guilt. When the files were made public, the Department of Justice made clear that these allegations remained unconfirmed,
What showed up in those released materials may have included fabricated claims, mistaken identifications, or questionable photos, videos, and documents, because every item the FBI received from the public was folded into the release. In other words, the mention came from an anonymous tip and had never been verified. It was not proof, not an accusation, and not the start of a formal case. It was simply a message sent to a federal tip line, later made public because the law required the government to release the full batch of submitted material.
Still, those important details did not slow 50 Cent down. A new wave of drama swept through the entertainment world after Curtis 50 Cent Jackson revealed that he wanted to create a documentary focused on Jay-Z's surprising mention in newly unsealed federal records. His announcement landed almost immediately after the Department of Justice released a massive set of files tied to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Rather than waiting for more context, Jackson moved fast. Only hours after the records became public, the rapper turned business mogul posted on Instagram and stirred the pot with AI-generated images of his longtime rival. Alongside the visuals, he added a sharp caption hinting that his next major project would dig into the disclosure. He even uploaded 2 images showing Beyoncé's husband, Jay-Z, seated and writing, pushing the story even further into the spotlight.
50 Cent's about to do a documentary on Jay-Z now that the Epstein files have been released. You know Jay-Z did something wrong when the NFL unfollows him on Instagram. He coordinates all of the halftime performances. They unfollowed him. He's been doing this since 2019.
One explosive caption set everything off. They got your guy Jay in the Epstein files. From there, 50 Cent turned up the pressure, hinting that he wants to make a documentary focused on the Roc Nation boss. His message was blunt. I have to do a doc on this. Fresh off the massive response to Sean Combs' The Reckoning last December, 50 Cent now appears to be shifting his focus toward Jay-Z. The new threat centers on reports that the 25-time Grammy winner was named within roughly 3 million documents tied to the Jeffrey Epstein files. Here's why that caught so much attention. 50 Cent already helped deliver one documentary that pushed Diddy into a full-blown public reckoning. In his first week, that project became Netflix's most-watched series. On top of that, he reportedly has 140 hours of unseen footage still in reserve. Now he is signaling interest in another film, this time aimed at Jay-Z, who many see as one of the most influential figures in the entire music business. The approach feels familiar. Much like his earlier projects, this proposed documentary follows a pattern that suggests 50 Cent is carving out a role as hip-hop's unofficial archivist of scandal. By turning other people's turbulence into headline-making content, he creates major commercial interest while staying removed from direct legal fallout. Some figures in the industry have even praised 50 Cent for that strategy. 50 Cent has built a reputation by stepping into territory most people avoid. Across social media, many applauded him for pushing difficult conversations into the spotlight and putting Diddy's legacy under renewed examination. Still, critics argue this is not investigative reporting. In their view, it is spectacle, high-impact content shaped by old feuds, business instincts, and the attention economy as much as any pursuit of facts. According to industry watchers, Jackson understands exactly how to use the public's endless fascination with celebrity controversy. At the same time, he strengthens the image that has carried him for years, the blunt, fearless voice willing to say what others sidestep. That strategy has worked again and again, keeping his name in headlines and preserving his cultural relevance, even as music has become a smaller part of his public identity. Legal analysts, however, draw an important distinction. Being mentioned in tip line reports or interview notes is nowhere near the same as facing formal accusations or an indictment. That difference matters. Even so, one reality stands out. Whether 50 Cent is exposing hard truths or simply provoking reactions, whether his motives come from principle or pettiness, the people he targets are not known for ignoring public accusations. His history makes that clear. After he challenged Kenneth Supreme McGriff, he survived being shot 9 times. When he turned his attention to Murder, Inc., federal investigators became involved. He has stepped in before, even claiming he tried to prevent alleged murder-for-hire plans. Once he moved ahead with a documentary centered on Diddy, legal warnings reportedly began arriving before a single episode had even premiered. Now the spotlight may be shifting again. 50 Cent has been hinting at possible projects involving Jay-Z, while also sitting on what's said to be 140 hours of unseen Diddy footage. That alone is enough to raise eyebrows. Yet the biggest shock came from a now-deleted Instagram post that appeared to point toward another explosive subject, T.I. In that post, 50 shared a screenshot of a headline claiming he was developing a surviving T.I. and Tiny documentary. His caption brought up how silent he became before releasing the Diddy project, suggesting that same pattern might be happening again. He also took a direct shot, writing that he hoped it would not disrupt a promo run because questions about 20 sexual assault cases were likely coming, and that a crisis PR expert might be worth calling. Of course, this could simply be 50 Cent doing what he does best, stirring attention, trolling, and keeping everyone guessing. Still, those are serious remarks coming from someone who already backed a documentary aimed at a person he openly dislikes. At this point, he's not provoking one powerful figure. He seems to be challenging them all at once. What starts with cease and desist letters can turn into something much bigger. As 50 Cent pushes further into documentary filmmaking, he appears to be challenging the reputations, personal freedom, and business fortunes of several extremely influential people at once.
We live in a climate that it's not even what you did. It's what they said you did.
Right.
The damage is already done by the allegation itself. So,
do you think Puff is cooked?
I'm not sure if he's cooked. I'm not sure how bad that it is. Because you know what? When we think of all of those different allegations that pile up, he's cooked.
Right.
Moves like that rarely pass quietly. His past makes the concern feel real. Years ago, after referencing drug dealers in his music, he reportedly became the target of serious retaliation. That history raises an obvious question. What happens if the people being called out now are billionaires instead of figures from the street? The stakes rise even higher if the material involved goes beyond rumor and includes federal records connected to one of the most unsettling criminal cases in recent American history. Those concerns are exactly why so many people are paying close attention to the reports discussed in this video. With 50 Cent, there's a clear pattern. He pushes buttons, brings hidden stories into the light, turns himself into the center of the conflict.
This time, however, the landscape looks far more intense than anything he dealt with before. Back in the early 2000s, the opposition came from drug dealers and competing labels. In 2025 and 2026, the list of potential adversaries reportedly looks very different. Convicted entertainment moguls, people tied to massive wealth, and powerful legal networks with far more reach than the threats of his earlier career. His circle reportedly stretches across borders, with associates whose names have surfaced in federal paperwork next to some of the world's most influential figures. At the same time, 50 Cent is facing a major legal battle tied to power. Ghost Holland has filed a lawsuit claiming the series draws from his real-life story and seeking $1 billion in damages. Holland also released a statement aimed at 50 Cent over the case. Although that warning came from a different person in a separate situation, it still highlights the non-stop tension surrounding 50 Cent. Conflict has never been something he avoids. If anything, the pressure around him seems to keep intensifying. As if that were not enough, another bizarre wave of attention hit in early March 2026 when false reports suddenly claimed the rapper had died. The story spread fast and sparked concern among fans around the globe. Soon after, it was confirmed that the March 2026 report was entirely fabricated, adding yet another chapter to the long history of fake celebrity death stories. Much of the rumor gained momentum on Monday after an RIP 50 Cent Facebook page pulled in nearly 1 million likes. By Tuesday, representatives for the rapper stepped in and made it official. 50 Cent was alive, and the viral claim was completely untrue. His name now joins a long list of public figures targeted by death hoaxes that briefly fooled the internet. A fake report spread online claiming 50 Cent had died. His team quickly shut it down, making it clear he was alive, safe, and doing fine. They urged people to stop trusting every headline they see online. At first glance, this kind of rumor seems almost routine. Public figures get pulled into false death stories all the time. Still,
Placed alongside everything else happening lately, the timing feels far more unsettling. There's the documentary centered on Diddy, another project being teased about Jay-Z, talk of a documentary involving T.I., the massive amount of unreleased footage, and the continued attention around the Epstein files. In that atmosphere, a death hoax does not land like a harmless joke. Maybe it really was just another internet stunt. That is entirely possible. Yet 50 Cent is not an ordinary target. He survived being shot 9 times. Federal authorities also uncovered an active assassination plot against him in the past. Right now, he's openly provoking some of the biggest names in entertainment. Because of that, a false report about his death can feel less like random chaos and more like a message. The larger backdrop matters too. Testimony during the Diddy trial described Combs as someone who allegedly intimidated people who stood against him. Capricorn Clark told the court that while working for Combs, she witnessed repeated attacks on Cassie Ventura. Clark also spoke about tensions between Combs and Cuddy have drawn renewed attention, especially because of claims that Combs once made deadly threats during Cuddy's brief relationship with Cassie in 2011. Anyone familiar with hip-hop history knows that Cuddy was far from the only artist caught in conflict with Combs and the people around him. Now, take that history and compare it to the situation with 50 Cent. If Combs allegedly reacted that intensely over a personal relationship, imagine the anger directed at a rival tied to a documentary seen by more than 22 million viewers. A project many believe further harmed Combs' public image while he remains behind bars. Meanwhile, 50 Cent has kept the pressure on through social media, repeatedly posting about Combs and refusing to let the story fade.
Saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. His team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
In response, Combs' camp has painted him as a bitter enemy, describing him as a longtime opponent driven by personal motives. Their message is clear. They see this as more than legal fallout. To them, it crosses into betrayal. Combs is also said to have valued Ted Sarandos and respected the legacy of Clarence Avant. Because of that, Netflix handing his life story to someone who has criticized him for years is being framed by his side as a sharp and deeply personal insult. One word keeps surfacing again and again in all of this: vendetta. Comments from Combs' camp add another layer to the story. Whenever powerful, well-connected figures publicly throw around a word like vendetta, it raises a bigger question. What is being said behind closed doors? At the same time, 50 Cent has faced a separate legal dispute involving his former girlfriend, Shaniqua Tompkins. A YouTube video posted in June 2025 drew major attention after Tompkins accused Jackson of mistreating her physically and verbally while she was pregnant with their son, Marquise, and during the course of their relationship. Her allegations go even further. Tompkins has said she was pressured into signing a contract after 50 Cent's late manager, Chris Lighty, arrived at her Las Vegas hotel room with a man she believed was acting as security. In her filing, she claimed Lighty warned her she would face serious consequences if she refused to sign. She also stated that out of fear for her own safety and the safety of her children, she signed the agreement under extreme duress. Taken together, these claims sketch a troubling portrait of a life surrounded by pressure, conflict, and constant legal tension. According to the broader picture painted by these disputes, 50 Cent moves through a world filled with serious accusations, threatened lawsuits, and an atmosphere where intimidation is repeatedly alleged to play a role. Instead of stepping back when controversy finds him, he seems to double down on the exact behavior that sparked it. Right now, 50 Cent has put himself in the crosshairs of several influential figures by releasing documentary material, hinting at more projects to come, and using social media to relentlessly needle just about everyone in his orbit. The real issue is not whether anyone wants to see him silenced. That much appears obvious. What matters is whether that hostility has become something more concrete. Back in the early 2000s, the answer was yes. Federal investigators recorded repeated murder plots. Agents also claimed that McGriff was behind the 2000 attack on 50 Cent. He lived through it, and reports suggested McGriff's intent did not disappear with the failed attempt. That history matters because it shows a clear pattern. The precedent already exists. What makes the current moment even more striking is that his recent moves may be even more inflammatory than what first put him in danger. In 2000, he called out drug dealers in a track. By 2025 and 2026, he is developing documentaries focused on billionaire entertainment power players and teasing projects tied to people connected to one of the largest sex trafficking scandals in American history. As the scrutiny intensified, Diddy's sons answered by unveiling plans for a documentary of their own. Nearly 1 month after 50 Cent's Netflix documentary centered on their father debuted, the Combs brothers are stepping in with a project of their own. Christian and Justin Combs have joined forces with Zeus Network for a new docuseries designed to share their side of the story. 50 Cent, of course, didn't stay quiet. Under an Instagram post about the announcement, he dropped a simple reaction with eye emojis and added, "I want to see this show." That response says everything. Even when the Combs family pushes back publicly, 50 Cent doesn't pull back. He leans in harder. Retreat has never been his style. Pressure is. Now the situation has grown far beyond a single feud. The fallout appears to touch not only Diddy, but also Jay-Z, T.I., and possibly anyone else whose name ends up in material 50 Cent believes can become his next documentary. At this point, he's not just making content. He's building a media machine around revealing uncomfortable stories, and the people at the center of those stories are unlikely to remain silent for long. The pattern is already there. Whenever 50 Cent puts a spotlight on powerful figures, resistance follows. The only mystery is when it arrives and what shape it takes. Back in 2000, that danger was physical and life-altering. By 2025, the conflict looked different, arriving through cease and desist letters and legal warnings. The methods may have changed, but the tension clearly hasn't. By 2026, the rumors had escalated into a fake death story that reached roughly 1 million people. That sets up the final chapter here. At this point, 50 Cent isn't simply a rapper, and he's far beyond being only a television producer. He's evolved into something unusually powerful in entertainment, a one-man accountability force using documentaries, social platforms, and even federal records to drive the conversation.
It's much more fun to be his friend than it is to be his enemy.
What'd you just say?
Because this guy is fucking relentless.
The guy who actually shot me is dead.
Now, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson is opening the new year with another major project. This time, he's teaming up with A&E for a true crime series called Gang Wars. He confirmed it himself on Instagram with a short message. Gang Wars coming soon. A&E, I got some heat. Jackson also posted a screenshot of an article referencing a report that his company, G-Unit Film and Television, is joining forces with Jonah Bakor and Jonas Bale Pasht, Citizen Jones for the upcoming series. According to the description, the show will deliver an unfiltered look at some of America's most notorious gang conflicts, featuring unusual access and stories that reportedly haven't been heard before. Put all of that together with the Diddy documentary, the teased Jay-Z documentary, the teased T.I. documentary, and those 140 hours of unreleased footage, and it becomes clear that 50 Cent is building something much bigger than a media slate. He's creating a full-scale empire built on exposure, pressure, and relentless momentum. At the same time, he's developing a true crime project for A&E centered on gang conflicts. What's taking shape is bigger than a few isolated productions. It looks like 50 Cent is creating an entire documentary machine focused on the hidden, troubling corners of American life, covering everything from street culture to consumer culture. His latest proposed film fits neatly into the formula he's already used before. Taken together, the pattern feels intentional, almost like a calculated move to cast himself as hip-hop's go-to documentarian for scandal, mystery, and cultural fallout. Pull back for a second and consider everything he has lined up over the past 2 years. In December 2023, he revealed plans for a Diddy documentary. After that, he spent months locating people prepared to go on the record. Eventually, he joined forces with Netflix. He also secured footage that Diddy's camp later claimed had been taken without authorization. From there, the rollout only got bigger. The 4-part series debuted as Netflix's most-watched documentary in its first week. Soon after, he suggested there were another 140 hours still unseen. Next came talk of a Jay-Z documentary following the release of the Epstein files. Later, he hinted at doing something on T.I.
He also locked in the A&E deal for the Gang War series.
Although he shut down speculation about a LeBron James documentary, that moment revealed something important. Audiences now assume 50 Cent might set his sights on almost anyone. Rumors started flying that 50 Cent's next major film project would be a LeBron James documentary. The claim took off after a Twitter user said she had seen a report alleging that the G-Unit Film and Television founder was set to executive produce a LeBron doc unrelated to basketball. Weeks later, 50 Cent shut the whole story down himself. More than a month after that post began spreading, he responded on Instagram and dismissed both the supposed tweet and the documentary as fake. His message was blunt: "This is all cap." What makes the rumor so revealing is how believable it felt to people. That reaction says a lot about the image 50 Cent has built over time. He is widely seen as someone willing to challenge anyone, no matter how powerful or well-known they are. Nobody seems off limits, and no name appears too large to draw his attention. That reputation may make his moves fascinating to watch, but it also puts a spotlight on him. Look at the timeline. Back in 2000, he released a track about drug dealers and was shot 9 times. By 2003, he turned that survival story into an album and rose into global rap stardom. In 2005, federal records reportedly exposed continuing plots against him. Fast forward to 2023, and he announced a documentary about Diddy. In 2024, Diddy was arrested on federal charges. When the documentary arrived in 2025, it didn't just premiere, it exploded into a full-blown cultural event. A year later, he was already hinting at new projects focused on Jay-Z and T.I., all while reportedly holding unseen material that could create even more trouble for Diddy. Through every stage of it, pressure never let up, with both lawsuits and personal threats shadowing the process. The impact of the reckoning is hard to overstate. Viewers across the world remember that 50 Cent served as executive producer on the widely discussed Netflix series Sean Combs' The Reckoning, which rattled pop culture near the close of 2025.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. Perhaps.
At the center of the series were multiple allegations involving hip-hop figure Diddy, and the attention only deepened the damage to a public image that had already taken serious hits. Because 50 Cent's dislike for Diddy has been public for years, many assumed the project was simply another chapter in that rivalry. Still, the film's director pushed back on that idea and presented the series as something far broader than a personal clash between two famous names. According to that framing, the documentary reaches beyond Sean Combs, beyond Cassie, beyond the accusers, the allegations, or even the trial itself. In the end, the message was positioned as a reflection of something larger, a mirror held up to the public and the way society responds to power, fame, and accusation. What does it say about us when we place celebrities on a pedestal so high they stop seeming human? Alexandria Stapleton hopes this documentary shakes people awake and reminds viewers of a basic truth: fame does not erase humanity. Publicly, 50 Cent appeared to share that same view. Speaking through his G-Unit Film and Television banner, Jackson said he has spent years focused on telling real stories. He also expressed appreciation for the people who stepped forward, trusted the process, and shared their experiences. At the same time, he praised Stapleton for leading the project and helping bring this significant story to the screen. Still, the bigger question refuses to go away. Is 50 Cent genuinely pursuing the truth, stirring controversy for attention, or operating somewhere in between? More importantly, does his motivation change the value of what this documentary could accomplish? If the film truly gives survivors room to speak openly, clearly, and without being pushed aside, then 50 Cent may be helping create something meaningful, even if his reasons are complicated. Mixed motives do not automatically erase the importance of what is being revealed. Sometimes the message still matters, even when the messenger is deeply imperfect. That conflict sits at the heart of this entire story. 50 Cent has been wrong before. He has targeted people unfairly, using social media to provoke, mock, and humiliate.
Yet there have also been moments when his instincts were right. For years, 50 Cent was sounding the alarm about Diddy long before the rest of the industry was ready to face it. He pointed to patterns and behavior that many people had only discussed in private for decades. Once the federal case began reflecting the same concerns he had raised for so long, plenty of observers were forced to acknowledge an uncomfortable reality. The provocateur had been right. Now he appears to be at a turning point. One path would mean pushing even harder, with more documentaries, more unreleased material, and more public accusations. The other would mean stepping back and letting the noise settle. Still, if his track record proves anything, retreat has never really been part of who he is. He has made it clear that these projects carry personal weight for him, while also arguing that they serve a larger purpose. In his words to GQ, "This is bigger than just me and him. It's about the truth coming out." People in 50 Cent's circle understand the stakes. He is backed by security, supported by legal counsel, and protected to some extent by a media empire that gives him more distance from the kinds of direct pressure he encountered in the early 2000s. Even with all of that, complete protection does not exist, and legal strategy can only go so far when someone is willing to keep pressing forward the way 50 Cent does.
Now look at what "many men" means in this moment. "Many Men Wish Death" is one of 50 Cent's signature records from his debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying. Daryl Digger Branch, Eminem, and Luis Resto helped shape the track, which was born from 50 Cent's survival of the 2000 shooting. Over time, though, the song has come to stand for something much bigger than that original story. At different points in his career, its meaning has continued to evolve. 50 Cent has even drawn a parallel between his own experience and Trump's, explaining that after he was shot, he immediately shifted into survival mode and kept moving forward. In his view, that is why people connect so strongly with the record. At this stage, "Many Men" feels less like music and more like a mindset. It captures the approach 50 Cent has built his life around. There will always be people hoping for your downfall, and the answer is to keep pushing anyway. That belief has carried him a long way. It helped turn him into a major star, a wealthy figure, and one of the most accomplished business names in entertainment.
Look how many people go through business classes. If everything you needed was in that actual business class, in that book, there'd be too many successful business people. How many people graduate? Matter of fact, the professor wouldn't have the time to sit there and teach you. He knows this book, then near verbatim, page by page, you know, right? Because he's the entrepreneur. He's too busy.
Still, that same attitude has also kept attention on him. The documentary projects he is pursuing now seem like a continuation of that same energy. He is calling people out, bringing hidden stories into the light, and refusing to back away. He refuses to stay silent, and the reaction has been intense. Back in 2000, the names he called out belonged to local figures tied to street-level dealing. In 2026, the landscape is completely different. Now he is a major media power, pointing at billionaire names in entertainment and hinting at projects involving people linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Everything is bigger now. The pressure is heavier, the people in his path carry far more influence, and the fallout could be far more serious. Instead of handing control to Netflix, 50 Cent could go straight to the audience. That move changes everything. No studio oversight, no executive edits, no traditional filters standing in the way. Just the material itself, presented directly to viewers. That is the most extreme path available. If 50 Cent really puts 140 hours of unreleased Diddy footage on YouTube, as he has indicated he may, it would mark a stunning moment in entertainment. Such a release would sidestep standard editorial review, avoid legal screening, and cut past every corporate gatekeeper in one move. The public would be seeing raw, untouched footage from someone who has already shown he is not easily intimidated by consequences. That is the real reason people keep raising concerns about his safety. It's not only about one isolated threat, even if those are said to exist. It's about the combined force of everything he is taking on. He's not going after one rival. He's challenging an entire industry, calling out people with money, influence, and every reason to push back hard. What makes it even more striking is the mindset behind it. This is the same 50 Cent who,
after leaving his grandmother's home in South Jamaica, Queens, got into a car and survived 9 gunshots. In 2012, he described the moment to Oprah. It was around noon. He got into the vehicle, another car pulled up, and gunfire erupted. He was hit 9 times. Somehow, he lived. More than 2 decades later, that fearless streak hasn't faded. He still puts himself front and center. He still says the things others avoid. He still projects the same message. He's not backing down. Only now the battlefield looks completely different. Music is no longer the main tool. This time, the pressure comes through a documentary. Instead of mixtapes, there are 140 hours of footage. Rather than delivering a verse, he's making headlines through public statements and press appearances. The scale has changed too. Once the danger came from a single figure in Queens. Now the names in the spotlight include some of the most powerful people in the world. That's exactly why this story carries so much tension. There's a reason this video is titled New Assassination Attempt on 50 Cent after he revealed new documentary files. The pattern is impossible to miss. History has already set the tone, and 50 Cent does not look like someone ready to back down. No matter whether the pressure comes through legal battles, online attacks, personal intimidation, or psychological tactics, the threat is still there. March 2026 proved just how far that can go. A false report claiming 50 Cent had died raced across the internet, showing that in the social media era, damaging someone no longer requires physical force. Sometimes all it takes is a Facebook page, a believable headline, and enough people willing to share it. Even so, 50 Cent is no stranger to survival. He made it through 9 bullets. He endured reported federal plots against his life. He also pushed through being shut out by major parts of the industry. Each time someone tried to break him, he found a way to use it as momentum for whatever came next. The same man Kenneth Supreme McGriff allegedly targeted in 2000 now sits at the center of a powerful media empire, one that keeps pulling back the curtain on entertainment's most guarded secrets. Naturally, the figures caught in that spotlight are paying close attention to everything he does. When news broke that Sean D. Combs was facing major legal problems, many assumed the situation had already reached its lowest point. What almost nobody realized then was that something even bigger may have been waiting just beneath the surface.
While dealing with a legal storm around him, Diddy may also have to handle pressure from an old enemy, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. Yet the bigger question is, who comes next? There is still one name 50 Cent has not spoken out loud, even as he is reportedly moving quietly in the background.
He would do a lot of foul shit, like behind the scenes he would do some foul shit, like hating on, like doing things with people I'd done business with that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, he said that to you? Right. I was like, yeah, so all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it, so they want the girls after you're done with them and shit. Yeah.
Unseen footage remains out there. Unopened files may still be waiting to surface. This is not a cautious game. 50 Cent understands exactly how dangerous it is. He always has. Ever since his teenage years in Queens, he has operated in high-risk situations where one move can change everything. Now, the consequences appear even larger than before. That brings us back to the headline of this story: a new assassination attempt on 50 Cent after the release of fresh documentary material. Here, the word assassination carries more than one meaning. It could point to a real-world threat against a person's safety. In another sense, it can describe an attack on someone's reputation through lawsuits, accusations, or public claims. Online, it can take the form of false rumors, death hoaxes, and coordinated misinformation. Professionally, it can mean pressure through legal warnings, cease and desist demands, and efforts to damage a career. From every angle, 50 Cent appears to be confronting all of it at once. Pressure is closing in on him from all sides. Too many powerful people stand to lose if these documentaries keep moving forward, and the response has been relentless. Diddy's legal team has fired off cease and desist letters. Public messaging has painted him as a bitter enemy driven by personal motives. Online, a false rumor about his death spread fast. On top of that came massive lawsuits, warnings from former drug kingpin pens, and likely even more tension unfolding out of public view. Silence would have been easier.
Going after the biggest names in the room never comes without consequences. Yet his story has never been about backing down. After surviving 9 bullets, he did not treat that as the end of the chapter. Instead, he turned it into a reason to keep pushing, determined to shine a light on the people he believes were behind it. One theme has shaped 50 Cent's entire path. Those who tried to end his story did not succeed. Since that moment, he has built a career that keeps proving it. Music made him a force. Television expanded his reach. Business made him even harder to ignore. Now, with documentary footage that is reportedly rattling the entertainment world, he's stepping into another fight. He is still moving, still talking, and clearly not finished. By his own words, this story is far from over. He has 140 hours of "there's more coming." New documentaries are already in the works, and he's sitting on material the federal government is still slowly making public. On top of that, he has something even more powerful, a direct line to millions of people the moment he decides to speak. For years, powerful enemies have wanted him gone. That reality existed in 2000. It was still there in 2003 when he released the song. It remained true in 2005 when federal records backed up the existence of assassination plots. Nothing changed in 2024 when his documentary was announced. Nothing changed in 2025 when it finally dropped. Even now, in 2026, he reportedly holds enough footage and documentation to keep the entertainment world on edge for a long time. What matters now is simple. Can the people who want him silenced actually stop him? The past points in one direction. Again and again, history shows they haven't been able to. That's why the internet has spent years giving 50 Cent the same reputation: impossible to break. Still, there's another side to that story. The larger the spotlight, the greater the risk when pressure starts to build. Right now, no one in entertainment carries a bigger target than 50 Cent. He put it there himself, deliberately. He's challenged everyone watching to make their move, just like he always has. People have been trying to end his run for years. Every attempt has failed. Whether they missed completely or managed to knock him down, 50 Cent always got back on his feet. Now the records are out. The footage is real. The names are already in the open. Yet 50 Cent, the artist from South Jamaica, Queens, the same man who by all odds should not have survived May 24th, 2000, is still standing, still speaking, still pulling back the curtain, and still refusing to stay silent. Whatever this latest move turns out to be, physical, legal, or online, it feels like another chapter in a saga that began 26 years ago, marked by 9 bullets and a relentless will to live. Looking at everything that has happened since, there is little reason to believe he is fading out anytime soon. His documentary engine is still moving. More files are expected to surface. Meanwhile, those who want him gone can keep hoping from the sidelines. That pattern has not changed. Survival is part of his brand. Exposure is part of his strategy. Winning somehow keeps becoming part of the outcome. Then the cycle starts again. What comes next is the real question. What happens when the 140 hours finally arrive, when the Epstein documentary takes shape, when the T.I. project is completed, when the Gang Wars series makes its debut, and when the next wave of federal files is released? These days, 50 Cent doesn't just post on Instagram. He moves like someone with a headline and a full production team behind him. That's the reality now. A figure who survived being shot 9 times has become one of the most intimidating documentary forces in entertainment. Back in 2000, he was a target. By 2026, he's the one pulling the curtain back on billionaires.
Somewhere along the way, the gap between rap star and investigative storyteller practically disappeared. And Curtis Jackson is the reason why. He took the name 50 Cent as a symbol of change, and few people have reshaped the culture more literally. His influence has already sparked major reactions, and the industry still hasn't finished processing what he's set in motion. One thing is clear, he's not slowing down. He never does. Keep watching, because the next move could be even bigger. If you're still here, head to the comments and let us know what you think. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and when 50 Cent releases the next file, we'll be here to unpack every detail. Until next time.